Questions for Austin or Travis? We'll start in the front here.
What is the feeling now? I mean, you guys have had so many exciting wins over the years, but I mean, how does this excitement rank, compared to some of those other big wins?
Every playoff win's exciting. I think the way it ended was one of the most exciting ending to a games I've ever seen as far as a defensive standpoint, where you got Money Mike making a crazy catch on the wall and us doubling up Harper to close it out. It was really emotional, especially the way we came back. So it was one of my favorite postseason games ever.
Second row in the middle.
To both of you guys, when Ronald scores on the bobble there, does that give the team a little energy?
Yeah, I was actually looking down, putting some pine tar on my bat, so I didn't catch him actually scoring. But it's like I said, anytime you can get Ronald on the base, he's a threat. He's pushing his chances, and like I said, he's in scoring position a lot. So I think that just set it right there. Ozzie getting the hit right there, and then just kept rolling. Travis with the big homer. Just a good win.
Then Riles with the big homer, but Ronnie got the crowd back in it. I think that was the biggest thing. Got the crowd back in it and got momentum back on our side.
Third row on the left.
Yeah, Travis, just going into that bat versus Wheeler, how much the familiarity, having caught him for years, helped, and also what was sort of your approach going into that?
He's such a good pitcher. Truthfully, I think I just get lucky, and that at bat, I was just trying to hit the ball in the barrel. My first at bat, I chased one that was over my head, and my second at bat, I flew one out. So I was just trying to get good contact, and I got rewarded with the extra base hit. So that's how I'm looking at it.
In the front.
You guys have done it so many times all year with the late runs, the late home runs. Did you feel just as confident tonight though against a guy like Wheeler when he was pitching as well as he did?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we were trying to stay as positive as possible in that dugout. Everybody was saying, we just got to keep going, and he had an unbelievable night. He was very dominant, and like I said, I think guys just it's that next guy mentality, and I think it's just feeding off each other and trying to get the ball rolling, and like you said, Travis said, it's once we got that crowd back in it, you think good things happen.
And what was your view of Mike's play?
I think the only reason I was in the position I was because I was screaming one, and then just the momentum just kept pulling me that way, and it ended up just being right spot at the right time.
In the back on the right.
Juan Carlos Brando for La Mejor Atlanta. What was the feeling after that home run for Travis? After that error on the throw to second, and then you hit the home run. I saw your face. Was that like a relief or something after that home run?
Errors happen. As long as it was a physical error more than a mental error, you just got to wash it off. But more than anything, there was still a lot of game left, so I had to stay calm and relaxed, even though I just hit a homer to put us down by one. That's why my face was the way it was.
In the front middle.
Austin, can you take us through your homer, and how did that moment kind of compare with the walk-off in the 2021 NLCS?
Just trying to put up a competitive at bat. At the end of the day, you're not trying to do too much and just try to be in the moment. I actually stepped out and looked over, and Seitzer's, I sometimes overstride when big moments and get too, amped up, and he just kind of was, telling me to calm down, and I was just trying to put a barrel on the ball. It's all it was. It's definitely up there, with my top ones. And I think, like I said, for me, it's the crowd that does it. I mean, how loud it gets, fighting with this team, just unbelievable team. Obviously still a lot of work to do. But just gonna enjoy this one tonight.
In the front on the right.
Austin, that's not your average launch angle there. What are you thinking as that ball's that loft there, that home run, and then just explain that through when you hear the crowd erupt as you're going down the line.
The only thing I was thinking of is I know there's a short fence down there. Hopefully it gets over it, and luckily it did. And just like I said, you just try to take those moments in because postseason special. It's awesome time of year, awesome baseball, and like I said, do it with these guys. We fight 162 games out of the year, plus spring. We're with each other so much, so just try to enjoy it with them as much as possible.
In the front.
Austin, it's always important to play well this time of year, but knowing, you had a disappointing NLDS a year ago. Like, how important was it for you to bounce back this year?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you try to learn with every opportunity that you're given, good or bad, and just try to move forward, try to grow from it. Just trying to be the most complete human being and competitor and baseball player I can be, and like I said, luckily the Lord willing, he put me, in a position to help the team win tonight.
We'll take one more question in the middle here.
Austin, you mentioned your momentum carrying you towards second base on that last play, so you were not that far from Harper. By chance, did you get a look at him as he realized what was going down?
No. Like I said, I was just screaming 1-1-1 as loud as I could, and just trying to see where the ball was going. And like I said, I think it was just one of those things where right place, right time.